Tens of thousands of years ago, the ancestor of the Lone Solitude family, Donghua, cultivated a world-defying divine skill. Fearing its power, the people of the Netherworld disregarded the imperial decree and attacked Eternal Spring Valley, annihilating the entire Donghua family to eliminate any future threats. Before his death, Donghua infused his divine skill into a crystal. Enraged by this, the young master, Donghua, succumbed to demonic influence and terrorized the populace. Now, in a small house, a baby boy was born. As soon as he saw the sunlight, something extraordinary happened. Two red characters, formed from his own blood, appeared on his forehead. Unexpectedly, the primal crystal of the ancestor, Jianshan, reacted to the child. Truly, this was no ordinary infant. As everyone rejoiced, an arrow suddenly flew in. The old man, Yanjai's father, intercepted it. A volley of arrows followed, aimed directly at them. The old man strained, creating a barrier to deflect the arrows. He then rushed outside to assess the situation. A group of assassins surrounded him. With each strike, he took down an assailant. However, in the chaos, one assassin slipped into the house. Yanjai, inside, confronted the intruder. He dodged the attack, spun, and kicked the assassin out. Only the leader, wearing a demonic mask, remained. Yanjai's father exchanged blows with him, demanding to know his identity. He saw through the Netherworld's facade and mocked their pretense. With that, he unleashed a palm strike alongside his battle spirit, creating a cloud of dust and smoke. Shockingly, the masked assassin withstood his myriad king palm without a scratch. He lunged to attack again, but Yanjai kicked the assassin, sending him flying. The two continued their fierce battle. The old man, empowered by his battle spirit, relentlessly attacked, forcing the assassin to defend himself. A flurry of punches sent the assassin reeling. Knowing he was outmatched, the assassin retreated. These assassins were also after the primal crystal. Back inside, Yanjai held the baby, praising his courage, and named him Bai Qian. 16 years passed in a flash. On a road, a young man ran swiftly. Reaching his destination, he called out the name Yuan and climbed the wall into the estate. In the courtyard, another young man practiced martial arts. The two were brothers. The older brother, wanting to see his younger brother's disciple, used the excuse of visiting him. The younger brother playfully pushed his older brother and assumed a fighting stance, eager for a sparring match. The two clashed, their fight moving from the courtyard to the rooftop. Bai Qian then drew out the primal crystal, repelling his younger brother with its force. Hearing the commotion, Minju opened the door and came out. Seeing this, the younger brother excused himself, leaving Bai Qian and Minju to talk. Minju asked him if his martial arts had improved after all these years. Bai Qian still believed in the inscription on the primal crystal, which said that mastering third-rate martial arts in the world would lead him to a divine skill. Hearing this, Minju drew her sword and asked him if this was the martial art he had learned. She questioned whether it was enough to protect everyone, to protect her. As night fell, Bai Qian and his younger brother sat drinking and talking. A woman's scream caught their attention. She was being harassed by a man named Liu. Being a man of action, Bai Qian threw his wine cup at Liu's head and provoked him. Enraged, Liu charged at him with a sword, but Minju intercepted the attack, deflecting his sword and kicking him aside. Liu still wouldn't give up, approaching Minju with a jug of wine. She immediately swung her sword at him. As she lunged forward to stab him, a golden dragon intercepted the blow, forcing her to retreat. Minju, without further ado, pointed her sword at him, declaring him an outsider causing trouble in the Situ family estate. The golden dragon didn't engage further and left. Minju also departed shortly after. She explained that her actions were due to her impulsiveness and asked Bai Qian not to take it to heart. He apologized to her and asserted his determination to become someone capable of protecting her. Minju left with a slight smile. Bai Qian, though consoled by his younger brother, claimed he wasn't upset at all and expressed his desire to return home and practice martial arts. Late that night, under the moonlight, Minju apologized to her older brother. A figure in a black cloak appeared behind her, and they exchanged words, seemingly about Bai Qian. Bai Qian returned home reeking of alcohol and was caught by his father, who scolded him for staying out late without any discipline. Enraged, his father chased after him, intending to punish him. The grandfather, observing this from the rooftop, intervened on Bai Qian's behalf. He proposed that if Bai Qian wanted to learn martial arts, He should start the next day by carrying a rock down the mountain every day. If Bai Qian could manage this before sunset, he would teach him the immovable Ming King technique, a secret of the Dugu family. Overjoyed, Bai Qian exclaimed, "I want to learn," and ran inside. His father worriedly questioned if this was wise, but the grandfather assured him that everything would work out in the end. The following morning, as per his grandfather's instructions, Bai Qian raced through the bamboo forest to the pile of rocks on the mountain. Seeing the sheer size of the rocks, he was shocked, wondering if they were even considered rubble. Bai Qian tried everything, but he couldn't budge them. Carrying the rock while keeping his feet off the ground proved incredibly difficult. Night fell, and he still hadn't completed the task. Bai Qian sat watching the moon, reminiscing about his memories with Minju. He remembered her promise to marry him after she returned. His thoughts concluded, and he threw himself back into training. His grandfather approached and advised him to utilize the strength of the bamboo trees instead of carrying the rock on his back. Bai Qian eagerly wanted to try but was pulled home to sleep. Early the next morning, the grandfather was on the roof, drinking wine, while our young protagonist stealthily left the house. Bai Qian's parents worried because he hadn't eaten at home for several days. The grandfather told them that if they were so concerned, they should go see his training. At the bamboo forest, Bai Qian recalled his grandfather's guidance. This time, he succeeded in the challenge. His grandfather and father arrived to see him, but as Bai Qian proudly showed off his accomplishment, his father left. The grandfather then asked to see the jade pendant Bai Qian always carried. Bai Qian questioned if the inscription on the jade was a lie, as he followed it but couldn't defeat Minju. The grandfather asked him if he knew what level of martial artist he was. At that moment, everything around them seemed to freeze, and Bai Qian was utterly astonished. The grandfather answered, "This is the divine emperor level immovable Ming King." At a secret base, a mysterious figure approaches and reports to a shadowy figure within a mirror. It seems he too covets the tin and iron th letter 1a1ch, seeking its power of immortality. Meanwhile, Bai Qian, his younger brother, and their companions are training in a bamboo forest. The young men place bets on a sparring match between Bai Qian and M letter 1eabn nguy letter 1ec7t. The two clash, neither willing to yield. During the fight, Bai Qian is distracted by the words of an old master, allowing M letter 1eabn nguy letter 1ec7t to seize the opportunity and defeat him. As they grapple, the thugs from the tavern incident arrive, armed to the teeth. Sensing trouble, Bai Qian whispers to his brothers to flee, but they are already surrounded. Just as the fight is about to break out, a young woman flies in to stop them. She is a disciple of V letter 1e5 letter 1en Fong, a sect that values peace within the martial world. She wishes to hear both sides of the conflict and mediate. Bai Qian's group recounts the thug's misdeeds at the tavern. The fat thug denies everything and sends one of his lackeys to attack, but Lai Thai intercepts and repels the attack. Upon learning Bai Qian's identity, she expresses interest in getting to know him. Invoking her master's name, Lai Thai urges everyone to calm down and resolve the matter later. After a brief discussion, the fat thug agrees, but it's clear he doesn't intend to let them go. Bai Qian and Lai Thai ascend a mountain to talk. As they converse, a ghostly purple aura emanating from an orb at Lai Thai's hip floats into Bai Qian's nose, causing his eyes to change color. To prove she is a V letter 1e5 letter 1en Fong disciple, she shows him a jade piece, which Bai Qian promptly asks for, captivated by its beauty. Their conversation is interrupted by screams from below. They rush down the mountain to find Bai Qian's friends being slaughtered by the fat thug's gang. Enraged, Bai Qian, clutching the tin and iron th letter 1a1ch, charges in, taking down thug after thug. Overwhelmed by their numbers, he is quickly trampled underfoot. Seeing this, M letter 1eabn nguy letter 1ec7t rushes to his rescue. Determined to eliminate any witnesses, the two ringleaders attack Bai Qian. His younger brother shields him from a fatal blow, sacrificing his own life. Witnessing his brother's death, Bai Qian is overcome with grief. The power of the tin and iron th letter 1a1ch reacts to his emotions, enveloping him in a red aura as he enters a demonic state. The sounds of death echo in his mind as he unleashes a torrent of power, cutting down his enemies one by one. The two ringleaders attack together, but they are no match for him. With a single flick of his wrist, he reduces the fat thug to ashes. The other ringleader meets a similar fate. Seeing Bai Qian's demonic transformation, Lai Thai recalls her master's warning. She attacks him, intending to end his life. However, Bai Qian retains a sliver of consciousness, focused only on saving his friends. Lai Thai is stunned by this. After using his power to save his remaining companions, Bai Qian collapses. Lai Thai rushes to his side, only to find him lifeless. This time, Lai Thai descended the mountain from her secluded cultivation because of a mission assigned by her master. Rumor had it that the reclusive Dugu family, residing in Changfeng town, possessed a spirit origin stone. Her master wanted her to investigate. As soon as Lai Thai entered the Dugu family estate, she felt an incredibly oppressive atmosphere. Inside, Yan Jia was furiously berating Bai Qian's friends. The patriarch arrived and asked Min Yu to explain what happened. He claimed to have been knocked unconscious and knew nothing, pointing to Lai Thai as the one with the most knowledge of the situation. After seeing the stone in Bai Qian's hand, the patriarch declared that since his life force wasn't completely extinguished, his friends should return, leaving the matter to him. Lai Thai and Bai Qian's father then entered the study. There, she explained to Yan Jia the reason for Bai Qian's predicament. He slammed his hand on the table in anger, cursing the rats who dared to do such a thing. Yan Jia then questioned why a disciple of the Hidden Mist sect was present. Upon hearing that she was there to investigate the spirit origin stone, he flew into a rage and was about to attack Lai Thai when the patriarch intervened. Lai Thai then recounted the whole truth to the patriarch. The old man chuckled, saying, "Bai Qian isn't dead. He not only used demonic transformation to save someone, but also saved himself. He's truly my grandson." Because this was a critical secret of the Dugu family, the patriarch requested Lai Thai to stay. Meanwhile, Bai Qian awoke within his own consciousness, surrounded by countless spheres of energy from the spirit origin stone. There, he encountered an ancient predecessor, but only a remnant soul with no memories. 7 days passed without him awakening, causing his father and the patriarch immense worry. Bai Qian, following the ancestors' guidance, was absorbing a third of the ancestors' spirit origin power to return to reality. Having spent many days in his consciousness, he asked the ancestors' permission to return and reassure his family. The ancestor, having no other option, escorted him part of the way back. Bai Qian awoke but pretended to sleep, listening to his father's conversation. The patriarch, aware of his awakening, teased him, causing Bai Qian to sit up abruptly. Everyone rejoiced at his return, and his mother rushed in to embrace him. 3 days later, Bai Qian and Lai Thai sat chatting by the lotus pond. The patriarch gave her the spirit origin stone to return to the Hidden Mist sect. Its power was depleted, but she felt it was still incredibly beneficial. Lai Thai then pointed her sword at Bai Qian, warning him that if he used demonic transformation to slaughter innocent people, she would come and slay him. Lai Thai then returned to her sect. The two bid farewell, promising to meet again. At home, Bai Qian diligently practiced martial arts. He had realized a fundamental truth. If one's martial arts reached a certain realm, even the simplest techniques could attain a higher level of mastery. His grandfather praised his exceptional talent, as many people failed to grasp this principle. Hearing this, Bai Qian became somewhat conceited and asked his grandfather to teach him the emperor-level divine skill, the immovable Ming King. The old man sighed helplessly, explaining that previously it hadn't been appropriate to teach him, but since Bai Qian insisted, he would. His grandfather challenged him to push him back even a single step while standing still. Despite exerting all his strength, Bai Qian couldn't budge his grandfather an inch. Astonished, Bai Qian asked if this was the immovable Ming King. In response, the old man channeled his energy, manifesting a warrior spirit. Seeing this, the enthusiastic youth implored his grandfather to teach him. Day after day, Bai Qian diligently trained under his grandfather's guidance. His father, meanwhile, was extremely anxious. Teaching him martial arts was one thing, but the immovable Ming King was another matter entirely. He argued that Bai Qian, always eager to be a hero, needed some self-defense skills. The grandfather had entrusted Bai Qian to a fellow Taoist whom Bai Qian would have to seek out in the future, a destined encounter. Bai Qian continued his rigorous training, practicing by the lotus pond during the day and in the bamboo forest at night, relentlessly honing his skills. Finally, he succeeded in channeling his energy and manifesting his own warrior spirit. However, he still couldn't push his grandfather back. Remembering the legacy of his ancestors, Bai Qian unleashed waves of power, surprising his grandfather. Their warrior spirits clashed, unleashing a force that shattered the surroundings. In the end, Bai Qian managed to move his grandfather. The old man stubbornly insisted that he had only been moved half a step, but he nonetheless praised Bai Qian's progress. He had nothing left to teach him. What Bai Qian needed now was to venture out and gain more experience. But before that, he had to travel to the Qingfen Kingdom to meet General Lai and learn his clear heart technique to control the demonic energy within him. Before leaving, Bai Qian shouted to Minju to wait for his return. On his journey, he bumped into a girl who turned out to be a thief and stole his money. Upon entering town, Bai Qian was pursued for reasons unknown to him. The girl, after robbing Bai Qian, saw his wanted poster with a reward. Witnessing him being chased, she knocked him unconscious and helped him escape the pursuing gangsters. After they left, Bai Qian learned the reason for the pursuit. It was all due to his deceased, fat older brother, who was still causing trouble even in death. The girl immobilized Bai Qian with a pressure point technique and tricked him to gain his cooperation. But he still couldn't escape. She wanted him to become her underling, but Bai Qian refused. So, they decided to spar. No matter how hard Bai Qian tried, he couldn't land a hit on her. Seeing this, the girl, somewhat impressed, began to instruct him while they fought. He unleashed a palm strike, shattering a tree, much to his own surprise. The girl was no slouch either. She used her abilities to lift the broken tree and pulverize it into splinters. After witnessing her power, Bai Qian respectfully clasped his hands and addressed her as senior. The woman, named Xuan, playfully chided him for being so formal. She then declared that his name, Bai Qian Dugu, was too difficult to remember and would call him Xiao Bai Little White from now on. She also gave him a disguise mask to avoid detection since he currently had a bounty on his head. However, the oblivious Xiao Bai held the mask without understanding its purpose. Xuan then told Xiao Bai about a large treasure they could retrieve, and despite the apparent danger, he agreed to accompany her, disguised as an old man with the mask. Meanwhile, at the Hidden Peak sect, Bai Qian's master was absorbing the power of a spirit essence stone. After some time, he realized it was completely empty and roared in fury. He summoned Lai Thai and questioned her about any unusual occurrences when she retrieved the stone. Lai Thai concealed the truth about Bai Qian's demonic possession and left. As she departed, senior brother Tai stepped in, congratulating the master on acquiring the spirit essence stone and then reporting Bai Qian's recent actions. Upon hearing this, the master dispatched Tai to investigate Bai Qian and the power of the stolen spirit essence stone. As night fell, the man and woman Xiao Bai and Xuan began their operation. They entered an abandoned house littered with bones and giant rats. Xuan, surprisingly afraid of the rodents, hid behind Xiao Bai. Inside, she began rummaging through the house. Xiao Bai, wanting to leave, was held back by Xuan, who used various methods, including seduction, to convince him to stay. Like a stubborn donkey, Xiao Bai only responded to force, so Xuan had to resort to more drastic measures. Finally, he reluctantly agreed to help her search. They discovered a deep, dark passage emitting an ancient and ominous aura. According to an ancestor's words, something important lay within. Xiao Bai took Xuan's hand, and they jumped into the passage. Upon landing, they were assaulted by the terrifying ancient aura. As they ventured deeper, Xuan warned Xiao Bai to watch his step, only to immediately step onto a trap herself. A golden dragon appeared, along with an army of stone monsters, rising to block their path. Xuan, with the grace of an emperor-level cultivator, slashed through the monsters with her sword. Bai Qian, equally formidable, punched his way through the creatures. They fought their way to the golden dragon, which unleashed a powerful blast, forcing them to brace themselves. Dodging the attack, Xuan flew upwards and launched a palm strike at the dragon. Kim Long, defeated and decapitated, allowed Xuan and Bai Qian access to the secret chamber. Inside, Xuan sensed an incredibly pure energy, surmising there wouldn't be any mechanisms. They approached a large door, searching in vain for a way to open it. Finding nothing, Xuan resorted to force, but the door remained unyielding, even breaking her dagger. Suspecting a sealing technique, Xuan charged at the door with her broken weapon, but to no avail. Then, both placed their hands on the door. Releasing their spirit consciousness, she shed to perceive the sealing technique. Within their spirit consciousness, they encountered a pulsating violet energy. Bai Qian, unable to grasp it, used his martial arts to contain it. Unexpectedly, it exploded into a vortex of black energy, crackling with immense power. Both held their breath and focused, dodging the ensuing barrage of lightning. Bai Qian struggled to evade the relentless assault, but was saved at a critical moment by his ancestor's intervention. With a casual wave of his hand, the ancestor dispersed the overwhelming energy. It transformed into a violet silhouette walking upon thousands of seemingly cursed hands. The ancestor chuckled, cryptically telling Bai Qian, "You are me, and I am you," leaving Bai Qian bewildered. Returning to their physical bodies, Bai Qian asked Xuan what she had sensed. Instead of answering, she questioned him. He simply replied he'd met a senior who offered guidance. Xuan scoffed, claiming her experience was superior, and then unleashed her power against the door, only to be flung backward. Bai Qian could only shake his head. He then focused his own energy on the door. Sensing his power surge, Xuan used her mind's eye to see his ancestor assisting him. Despite the combined effort, Bai Qian was also repelled. What truly shocked Xuan was the realization that Bai Qian had seemingly used his divine consciousness to cultivate to the Emperor realm. Elated by his newfound power, Bai Qian rejoiced. The commotion caused by their attempts to open the door had apparently alerted something within the hidden passage. To avoid a chilling aura, they fled through a nearby door. Inside, they found a single path flanked by a bottomless chasm filled with mysterious black smoke. They stood before a stone tablet inscribed with the words, "Demon Sealing." Engrossed in deciphering the inscription, they were unaware of the encroaching black smoke. Bai Qian's ancestor warned him to leave, but it was too late. Myriad resentful energies surrounded them. Bai Qian shoved Xuan out of the encirclement, but as he attempted to escape, he was pulled back. The smoke, thick with malevolent energy, seeped into him. Images of his ancestor flashed through his mind like a movie. Xuan rushed back to save him. The smoke began to pull them both in. Xuan released a layer of the seal placed upon her by her master, amplifying her power. She unleashed her energy, shattering the black smoke and rescuing Bai Qian. With the smoke dispersed, she helped the unconscious Bai Qian escape, sealing the dangerous chamber behind them. At the Hidden Peak sect, Xiao Liang urgently reported to his master, Ling Fei, about Bai Qian's journey to Qingfeng. He explained that Bai Qian had clashed with the sect leader of the Luotian Palace, Taoist Yuan. Bai Qian had not only defeated him, but also sent his accompanying subordinates flying into the river, their whereabouts unknown. Ling Fei was astonished, as Yin Yan and Han Gong of the Luotian Palace were incredibly powerful. How could such a seemingly insignificant person defeat them and survive? He suspected the incident was somehow connected to the Spirit Essence Stone. Therefore, he and Xiao Liang immediately set out to find Emperor Qingfeng. Meanwhile, within the city, a group on horseback rode urgently through the streets. They stopped before Lai Fang's residence, where he and his subordinates quickly carried a block of icy white jade inside to his foster father's room. Exerting all his strength, he channeled his energy into the ice, determined to save the man. His foster father, General Lai, was like a mountain to him, and Qingfeng couldn't afford to lose its war god. He had to do everything in his power to save him. Within his consciousness, Bai Qian heard Lai Fang's words about General Lai. Remembering his grandfather's words, he pleaded with his ancestors to save the general. Outside, Lai Fang continued to pour his internal energy into the ice block. Miraculously, spirit essence emerged, flowing into General Lai, healing him. As soon as Lai Fang left the room, he was informed that the emperor was waiting for him. The emperor discussed holding a celebratory banquet for General Lai's recovery. Though Lai Fang was hesitant, as his foster father hadn't fully recovered, he agreed. The people were worried, and the banquet would reassure them. The banquet was held with many prominent figures in attendance, including Minju, as well as Ling Fei, the leader of the Hidden Peak sect. The emperor expressed his gratitude to the Hidden Peak sect and Luotian Palace for preventing more severe casualties. As the festivities were underway, two hulking figures, identified as Baiyu nationals, appeared and subdued the guards at the entrance, bursting into the banquet hall. One of them, Lai Xiang, arrogantly grabbed a cup of wine and mockingly asked why he hadn't been invited to Lai Lin's funeral. Lai Fang retorted that he was at the wrong place. This was a celebration of Lai Lin's recovery. Lai Xiang scoffed, refusing to believe that the gravely wounded general, practically on his deathbed, could have survived. Ling Fei of the Hidden Peak sect intervened, his words tempering Lai Xiang's arrogance. Lai Xiang then declared he would return to the residence in 3 days to personally execute General Lai and avenge his master. Minju, who had been listening from outside, rushed to General Lai's resting chamber. Looking at the block of ice, she thought that if it could suppress the demonic energy within Bai Qian, she wouldn't have to obey Xiao Liang. As she pondered, the spirit essence energy within the ice drew her in. Suddenly, the ice shattered, and Bai Qian emerged. Minju was stunned. Why was he inside? Bai Qian claimed he had been inside for days, healing General Lai, but she didn't believe him. She attempted to probe his consciousness, but as she entered, she was forcefully repelled. At that moment, they were discovered by soldiers. Minju quickly pulled Bai Qian away, and they fled. The soldiers rushed in, intending to pursue them, but General Lai stopped them. He declared that the immortal who saved him had broken free from the ice and departed. If they didn't wish to remain, mortals shouldn't interfere. Minju and Bai Qian hid behind a house. After confirming that his spirit was pure and his martial arts had significantly improved, she felt at ease and let him leave. The next morning, Bai Qian went to see General Lai. General Lai, gradually recovering, sat in his chair enjoying tea. Lai Fang informed him about the saint and Lai Xiang, which enraged him. He dismissed everyone. Bai Qian entered, bowing to Lai Lin. He introduced himself as a descendant of the Dugu family, requesting to become Lai Lin's disciple and learn the Kingsenju heart-calming art. Lai Lin, wanting to test Bai Qian's abilities, acted in a way that offended the young man, causing him to turn and leave. Lai Lin, with a teacup in hand, flung it towards Bai Qian. Sensing the danger, Bai Qian used the Ming Wang Bu Dong immovable king technique to deflect the attack. Lai Lin then unleashed a stronger attack, pushing Bai Qian back. Thoroughly impressed, Bai Qian bowed respectfully and departed. Lai Lin then spoke up, revealing he had only been testing him. Bai Qian's grandfather had already sent word, explaining everything. The old general acknowledged Bai Qian's talent, but stated there were other things he needed to learn. Before mastering the Kingsenju, Bai Qian first needed to control his own power. Thus began their training. Bai Qian found the training unexpectedly difficult, failing to channel spiritual energy into a leaf. Each failure earned him a whack from Lai Lin, who believed that pressure creates diamonds. Minju sat idly drinking water when Xiao Liang approached her, mentioning Bai Qian's demonic possession. He assured her that if she cooperated with their agreement, Bai Qian would be safe. Meanwhile, Bai Qian diligently practiced. Following General Lai's guidance, he finally succeeded in channeling his energy. As they trained, Lai Fang arrived to inform Lai Lin that Lai Xiang had been waiting outside for 3 days. Hearing this, the general rushed out to the courtyard for a duel. The two elders clashed, their power astonishing Bai Qian. After an exchange of swordplay, they resorted to internal energy, their immense power forcing onlookers to erect barriers for protection. Lai Lin, exerting his full strength, conjured a giant crane that lunged towards Lai Xiang. As the dust settled after the decisive blow, both men remained standing. Lai Xiang, now thoroughly convinced of Lai Lin's strength, understood how his own master must have felt when facing him. The two disciples of the Hidden Peak sect, witnessing the battle, sensed a secret surrounding Bai Qian. Members of the Luotian Palace, passing by and overhearing the conversation, casually remarked that they no longer needed to worry about the boy. After the conclusion of his master's duel, Bai Qian rushed to his side. However, Engan and Him intercepted him. The two locked eyes, their gazes sharp and cold. The old man's hand gripped Bai Qian's shoulder, and a chilling cold spread through him. Bai Qian retaliated, but his hand was also caught and frozen. Lai Lin intervened, his voice booming to stop them. Only then did Engan and Him release Bai Qian, clasping his hands and declaring it a personal matter that didn't concern General Lai. A disciple from the Lac Thien Palace approached and flicked his fan. Suddenly, the ice on Bai Qian's hand vanished. This impudent disciple then falsely accused Bai Qian of theft, claiming that's why he was affected by the Lac Thien Palace's Phi Hoa Phi Deep Lac Falling Flowers, Drifting Leaves technique. Enraged, Bai Qian lunged forward to attack the disciple, but General Lai restrained him, stating that the matter was unclear and based on only one side's account, so he shouldn't act rashly. The Lac Thien Palace brat continued his provocations, infuriating Lai Lin to the point where he nearly attacked. Lai Fang rushed in to stop him, reminding him that they couldn't afford to create animosity with the Lac Thien Palace at this time. Though he knew he had to restrain himself, Bai Qian couldn't. He stepped before Ngan and Him and challenged him to a duel in front of all the martial arts experts. Lai Lin agreed to oversee the duel, declaring that if Bai Qian could withstand 3 of Ngan and Him's attacks, the old man would have to apologize publicly. Minju, who was about to enter the city, heard about Bai Qian's challenge and immediately turned back. Bai Qian stepped onto the platform with Ngan and Him. The old man began by channeling his chilling Kai, radiating it outwards before lunging at Bai Qian. Our main character, using the Undying King's immovable stance, braced himself against the attack. His ancestor appeared, offering to help, but Bai Qian refused, wanting to rely on his own strength. After 2 attacks, Bai Qian was visibly under pressure. For his 3rd attack, Ngan and Him conjured a massive ice fortress and hurled it towards him. Bai Qian, quick-witted, sliced the fortress in half and charged towards the old man. Thus, the old man of the Lac Thien Palace lost after 3 moves. However, unable to bear the humiliation, Ngan and Him unleashed a concentrated attack, severely injuring Bai Qian. Not stopping there, he moved in for the kill. In this critical moment, Lai Lin rushed to Bai Qian's rescue. Just as Ngan and Him was about to strike, Minju appeared. She deflected the old man's attack, protecting Bai Qian. Seeing her, Bai Qian remembered their time together in the bamboo forest, exchanging vows of eternal love. The Lac Thien Palace elder still refused to let Bai Qian go, even threatening to take Minju down with him. Seeing his beloved in danger, Bai Qian lost control and transformed. A thick black smoke enveloped the arena, blinding everyone. Within the smoke, he seized the wicked old man by the throat and interrogated him. The disciple frantically begged for mercy, revealing all of Ngan and Him's misdeeds. The old man was thrown out of the arena. The smoke dissipated, and Bai Qian collapsed unconscious. Lai Lin stepped forward, explaining that his student had used military-grade smoke bombs to escape, urging everyone to disregard the incident. The Wu Yin Feng sect members, however, refused to accept this explanation. Lang Fei stepped forward, claiming it was demonic possession, causing murmurs and speculation among the crowd. Elder Lang Fei wanted to apprehend Bai Qian for questioning regarding the Hidden Peak incident to clarify the situation. Lai Lin disagreed, refuting all accusations Lang Fei made against his disciple. The 2 argued over Bai Qian's involvement, with General Lai firmly refusing to hand him over, even radiating his Kai in a threatening manner. Lang Fei used the pretext of Bai Qian's potential transformation into a demonic threat to the martial world as justification for his arrest. Lang Fei's disciple approached Bai Qian to check his spiritual energy, releasing a stream of demonic Kai that penetrated Bai Qian's consciousness. Inside his mindscape, Bai Qian remained steadfast, unmoved by the illusions conjured by the demonic Kai. Having failed to corrupt Bai Qian, the Hidden Peak sect proposed placing him within the heart-questioning formation. General Lai, enraged, vouched for Bai Qian before the entire martial world, staking his reputation on his disciple's innocence. Upon hearing this, everyone lowered their heads in acquiescence. The tense atmosphere was interrupted by the arrival of a young man, Qiu Tian, a subordinate of Prince Roman XI Feng. He sought to determine whether Bai Qian was good or evil using a treasure he possessed, capable of slaying demons within the heart-questioning formation. The test would simply require Bai Qian to regain consciousness. Hearing this, Lai Lin could only lower his head and accept. The Hidden Peak sect members offered to remain outside, guarding the general's manor until the following morning. Within his consciousness, Bai Qian continued to struggle against the demonic temptations. He awoke to find Minju holding his hand tightly. She relayed the general's words, explaining that he must enter the heart-questioning formation the next day. She confessed that everything she did was for his well-being, to ensure a peaceful life for him, regardless of whether there was a place for her in his future, and then departed. Upon reaching the door, Minju was pulled into Bai Qian's consciousness where she encountered the demon. It enveloped her in a black smoke, causing her eyes to burn crimson as she succumbed to demonic influence. Back in the study, Bai Qian remained lost in thought about Minju, only to be reminded by the elder patriarch about the following day's trial. Lai Lin entered, and Bai Qian immediately questioned him about the heart-questioning formation. The general explained its intricacies, revealing its complex nature. Bai Qian urgently requested Lai Lin to teach him the clear heart incantation. Lai Lin revealed that it was all a misunderstanding. The incantation could not dispel demonic Kai. He explained it was connected to a legend involving a certain orb and the incantation itself. Bai Qian held the orb and inquired about its use, to which Lai Lin responded that everything depended on Bai Qian himself. On the day of the interrogation, Bai Qian strode resolutely into the heart-questioning formation. Entering his consciousness, he encountered his own inner demon. He and his inner demon battled fiercely. Finally, he accepted his demon, and the demon accepted him. With their combined power, Bai Qian shattered the heart-binding formation and escaped, astonishing and earning the praise of everyone present. Lai Lin, witnessing this, sarcastically invited Ling Fei to leave. However, the cunning fox wouldn't let Bai Qian go so easily. To celebrate Bai Qian's victory, the martial world held a banquet. The joyous occasion was interrupted by Ling Fei, who returned to accuse Bai Qian of being a demon. He even brought Minju and 2 vagrant cultivators as evidence. Lai Fei presented an imperial edict to General Lai Lin, demanding that he hand over Bai Qian. Both sides drew their swords, tensions escalating. Bai Qian was about to charge forward, but seeing Minju, he confessed to the accusations. Upon hearing this, one of the vagrant cultivators attacked him. Lai Lin jumped in front of Bai Qian, taking the blow. He declared he was no longer the general of the Qingfeng kingdom, transferring all authority to his son, Lai Feng. Earlier, Lai Lin had discussed this with his son, who tearfully accepted his father's decision, kneeling and promising to shoulder the responsibility of the nation. Lai Lin resolutely refused to abandon Bai Qian. He stood defiantly before the members of the Hidden Wind sect, declaring that they would have to go through him to touch his disciple. Frustrated but unable to act against the former general, they urged Lai Lin to stop protecting Bai Qian. He refused, stating he was no longer bound by his duty to Qingfeng and would act according to the rules of the Jianghu martial world. They decided to settle the matter through a martial arts duel at the arena the following morning. The next morning, Lai Lin arrived at the arena as promised. He challenged the 2 vagrant cultivators. Following Ling Fei's scheme, the 2 had consumed a strange pill that enhanced their power. Lai Lin was quickly overwhelmed and severely injured. Anticipating trouble, the general had sent a message to the Dugu clan for help. Upon receiving the dire news, the clan elder and Bai Qian's father immediately set off. Lai Lin swore to protect his disciple until his last breath. Despite being poisoned and gravely wounded at a critical moment, he unexpectedly broke through to the threshold of the Emperor realm. Power surged through him, and he transformed into a giant crane, attacking the vagrant cultivators. Lai Lin spared their lives, but a dark energy controlled them, forcing them to attack him again. Caught off guard, he was struck by a devastating blow. The next match would be Bai Qian's turn. He expected Ling Fei to send Minju against him, but to his surprise, Shishi entered the arena instead. Thai stepped onto the arena. Without hesitation, she lunged at Bai Qian with her sword. He was puzzled, wondering why she had broken their previous promise. Thai simply replied, "Things change." Flashback to the library. Liu Thai was searching for a book when her senior brother entered. She quickly hid the book. He recognized it as a volume concerning the Dugu family and demonic transformation, and questioned her about it. He then offered her a cultivation technique, claiming it was a gift from their master and well suited for her. Back in the present, on the arena, Bai Qian struggled to defend against Thai's relentless attacks. He used the Undying King technique to both defend and counterattack. Thai's offensive style resulted in swift, precise strikes that wounded Bai Qian. Finally, both unleashed their ultimate moves. As the smoke cleared, it appeared Liu Thai had lost, but she refused to give up. Gathering her energy, she soared into the sky, summoning a massive formation. Countless silver swords materialized, filling the arena. The elder recognized this as a forbidden technique and urged Bai Qian to stop her, but it was too late. Thousands of swords rained down. In that critical moment, Bai Qian shielded Lai Thai with his own body. The onslaught ceased, leaving countless swords embedded in Bai Qian's back. Thai opened her eyes to see him protecting her. The match ended. She conceded defeat and offered him a healing potion. Witnessing such a chivalrous act, the martial arts world erupted in cheers for Bai Qian. Capitalizing on the moment, Bai Qian declared the Hidden Peak sect to be the true demonic villains. Xiao Liang leaped onto the stage to defend the Hidden Peak sect, claiming they were only concerned for the safety of the martial arts world. Bai Qian scoffed and proposed a match against Xiao Liang in his master's stead. Xiao Liang, smooth-tongued, thanked Bai Qian for saving his pitiful life and suggested they exchange a single, decisive blow to determine the victor. However, this cunning man had already reached the Emperor realm, a hidden trump card of the Hidden Peak sect. With his overwhelming power, Xiao Liang forced Bai Qian back. He then launched his decisive strike, sending a sword flying toward Bai Qian. Trailing behind the sword hilt was a sphere filled with demonic energy. While defending against the attack, Bai Qian Dugu was infiltrated by the demonic energy. Within his consciousness, he encountered the evil spirit responsible for the schemes to steal his primordial essence. The spirit controlled a dark cloud, capturing Bai Qian and slowly draining his power. Bai Qian couldn't counterattack. At this point, his demonic form appeared beside him, asking, "Do you trust me?" Without hesitation, Bai Qian answered, "Yes." Power surged within him. Both his righteous and demonic selves combined, striking the evil spirit. Refusing defeat, the spirit transformed into Minju and then Xiao Liang. But Bai Qian, now transformed, wouldn't be fooled again. He seized the spirit and slammed it into the ground, both within his consciousness and in reality. The evil spirit, still controlling Minju, summoned her to add to the spectacle. However, she used the clear heart mantra to resist the spirit's influence and bring Bai Qian back to his senses. They embraced, but the evil spirit, now inhabiting Xiao Liang, thrust a sword through Minju. Witnessing this, Bai Qian was consumed with rage. "What is righteousness? What is evil?" he cried. "They stole my life, slaughtered innocents, and took away the one I love." As his words ended, the world spun and darkened. Bai Qian succumbed to demonic transformation. He used his primordial essence to save Minju, entrusting her care to his master Qiu Tian. Then, he turned towards the Hidden Peak sect, his eyes filled with death. Without mercy, he struck them down one by one. Xuan, sitting distantly, unaware of the unfolding events, only realized something was amiss when she saw people fleeing in panic. She raced towards the arena where Bai Qian was undergoing his demonic transformation. In his demonic state, Bai Qian charged towards the Hidden Peak sect, ready to confront them.